Hello, everybody. I'd just like to go ahead and do this training online. Um, I know that a lot of us right now, through the COVID situation, are having some difficulties finding the time to be able to attend any type of training. So I just wanted to go ahead and do that online to give you guys the opportunity to do this on your own time. And hopefully this will help out. And of course, if you have any questions, you can send me an email. So let me go ahead and get started here. Okay. I'm connected from my home to my work, so this is probably going to be a little bit slower than we're used to. So for the opening screen, we're not going to worry too much about these IP addresses. You can write them down if you'd like to. They're mostly for Tinian Health Center and Rhoda also, so that they can be able to connect in case the DNS connection is not working. That's just the friendly name. Okay, so what are these new systems? So we have our inventory system, which is a way for you to keep track of all of your assets that are IT related assets. So that's going to be your PCs, phones, printers, any types of things like that. I spoke with Portia and Jesse with the ELC, and they were mentioning that they wanted to even use some other high dollar asset items. I believe that's okay. It looks like the system can be used for that. If that's something that you'd like to put in there, they had an example where they would purchase an equipment and then they would have it transferred to THC or RHC, and it shows that tracking and that movement. And so this would give them the opportunity to be able to generate reports based on where the assets are actually moving. If that would be something that would help you, then we can work together to try to make something like that happen. So that's our asset management system. The Laserfiche system, I'm sure a lot of you have heard about it. It's notorious at this point. There's some positives and there's some negatives, but I hope everybody can kind of put the past behind them, whatever they've heard negative of Laserfiche. This is, for one, it's being done by me, okay? I don't know what other people did in the past. They gave it such a bad reputation, but I'm not that guy. Laserfiche, this is something that I think is really going to help. It's going to take a lot of the paper process out. And one of the primary things that it's going to do is it's going to give us an opportunity to really lock in a workflow, which I think right now we have a lot of confusion in the way that things go out. We're not sure what the next step is. We're not sure where our processes are currently at. And so a lot of time is spent walking around or making phone calls, trying to figure out, where is this at? Now with the Laserfiche system, at least at one point or another, somebody can log in and they can be able to see exactly where it's at. If it's with finance, if it's with MSO, whatever the case may be. One of the things about this right now is we are a bit limited on licensing. So the original person who's going to be submitting the form, unfortunately, is not going to be able to track exactly where that PO, PR, whatever may be. But whoever their immediate signature authority is will still be able to do that. So there's still ways that we can find that. And then we can iron out all of those details later as far as, obtaining more licenses, things like that. Next is the help desk system. So we're actually going to be having two separate systems. We're going to have an IT system and we're going to have a maintenance system. So for the IT system, we've had this in place for quite a while already. The difference is that we've been the ones who have been submitting the tickets from IT. For maintenance, they have a paper-based system that they currently use. Maintenance has a separate process that they're looking to do to get their ticketing system on board. As of right now with this training, I'm not quite sure where we're at with that. But for the IT, it's ready to go. So concluding this training, we're asking that your first line of communication with us is going to be submitting the ticket. So that way we're able to receive it, we're able to see who it's coming in from, we're able to see the department, we're able to see a short description of what the issue is, and it allows us to be able to assist you a lot better. Plus, it helps us with the tracking, generating reports. There's a lot of quantifiable data that comes from this that's going to be really helpful to us as an organization. So let's go ahead and get started with the inventory system. This is the asset management. So as long as you're on the CHCC work site, you can access it from this URL. Please write all of these down. I'm going to make this presentation accessible to everyone, whether you're able to log into the actual system that I'm doing this presentation from, or whether I got to send you an email or something. Just reach out to me, and I'll be able to help you with getting all of this information. But all of these systems are what they call single sign-on. You're just going to log in with your computer account name. So that could be, like for me, first name dot last name, Jovian.Almada. I put in the password that I log into my computer with, and I'll have access to that system. If once you log in, if there are any other questions about it or additional setup that needs to be done, again, reach out to me about that. If you're not sure what your account is, a lot of people in the C side, D side, the clinical and hospital side, you may be logging into the computers with something like ER or C side or D side. If that's what you're logging in with, specifically for help desk, that's not a problem, because we can still track the area, and it's not going to be an issue. If you have assets that are assigned to you that are IT based, more than likely you'll have a login. Now, if you're a nurse and you're working out on the floor and you only use the one computer, as far as the asset goes, you don't really need to too much worry about that. But as far as submitting a ticket, you'll still want to use that. So you can log in with your ER account into the help desk, and you can submit your ticket, and we can still track it like normal. Now, if you're logging in, this is the general screen that you're going to see if you're a standard user. So really all this is it's just a black and white printout that's going to show you what assets you're assigned. So it'll say assets. The category could be laptop, desktop. Asset tag is just going to be whatever our MSO has attached onto the asset itself. The name would be something like Lenovo laptop, whatever the model may be, and you'll just see an itemized listing of everything here. If you're assigned a printer, it could say like HP printer, whatever its asset tag is, etc. If you have any software that's been signed out to you for special circumstances, those serial numbers can also be put here. This will help each department to be able to keep track of exactly what it is that they have. So if you did purchase 3 copies of Adobe Acrobat Professional, and you have one of the employees that was assigned that license go somewhere else, you can then retrieve that license back into your department and then reissue it to a new employee once they've been hired. And this will really help you to keep track of everything. The consumables, I know sometimes it comes up there. People want to know how many print toners are we using? Now we can do that. So even if you have just your admin manager who's checking out, say, 500 toners a year or something, just as an example, you can keep track of all of those and you can see exactly what you're using. And then as you're generating reports, you can print out a report for the fiscal year, or you could generate a report for the month, or however it is that you want to break it down. And that is going to fall on whoever has been assigned in your area to maintain the inventory. This, for the user portion, you don't need to worry about that. It's a separate training really for whoever's going to be an administrator of the system. Now under the Laserfiche, now for the Laserfiche side again, this is going to be very basic. It's similar in the sense where with the asset management system, if you log in, you're just looking at what you've been assigned. There's no additional responsibility. The Laserfiche as well, if you are not someone who's submitting a PO, PR, whatever, you're not going to need to log into it. We're hoping in the future to expand what the Laserfiche can offer. If you're going to apply for leave, we want that option to be available for you. So those would be the specific links that'll be important for you. But you'll be able to get that from whoever your admin manager is or whoever your super users are that have been assigned for each of these areas. For the PRs, POs, contracts, CEO monthly reports, those types of things, you'll be provided those URLs as soon as we go live with this. And then based on how, Sabroto wants to proceed, then we'll be getting all of that information out to you. But to try to put people at ease, is if you've ever filled out a form before, you'll be able to fill this out without any issues. All I did was I pulled all of the fields that are on the paper document and I put them into the presentation itself. So this is a general screenshot of what it looks like. I'm going to show you also at the end what these systems look like and how to log into them, but you're just going to be filling out these standard fields. All of these marked with an asterisk are mandatory fields, so they need to be filled out before you can proceed. This helps us to make sure that you're submitting all of the information that's important to make this happen. There's no point in submitting partial information and then you just get it rejected and it just holds things up. This is going to ensure that all of the proper information is being funneled in, and then we can help you to proceed. Okay, here's the general workflow. As of about a month ago when I did this presentation, this was the workflow. No surprise to anyone. This is slightly changed, but it's okay. Depending on your process, we've got Sabroto slipped right in about here. After you have your initial program review done, let's say we're with FEP. FEP is going to go through Warren at this step, and then the next step, maybe Sabroto here, maybe Sabroto over here, depending on if you're basically hospital side or non-hospital side. I apologize if I do not have the exact definitions for what these things are. I'm just the guy who builds out these processes, right? So for me, I don't know all of the exactly how the org chart is by memory or any of that. But I do know when I'm told to do a specific process that I will follow that to the letter. As long as I have the exact information that I need, that's how I'll build it out. So this is still really the same general flow, regardless of how anything goes. It's going to go from the program review to the fund certification, whether it's locally or federally funded. It's going to move through to MSO for processing, and then to Cora for approval, and then again to MSO to finalize any of these settings. Onto the CFO. Sabroto may come in after CFO, but Janet's review onto the CEO, the release from finance, and then that's when MSO will finalize this so that it creates the actual documents. If along the way there's any kinds of issues that anyone sees, it'll send it back to MSO so that they can prepare everything that needs to be added in addition. Anybody can chime in on that along the way. And then it'll go back again for reprocessing. We've had several that we've been running through IT that have worked. We've had every scenario that I could imagine with my limited scope of knowledge on this process come up. Even when we're running contracts, I would put contracts on here, but there's not enough screens. There's so many steps in the contracts process. But we have had some sendbacks. Everything's looped back. We've tested a lot of these processes live, and they've all worked. Once we push this live out to everybody, I'm not going to tell you that there won't be any hiccups. I'm hoping that there will not be. I try to pay very close attention to detail, but I'm sure something will come up along the way. But that's what I'm here for. So I will be sure that I'm going to help you guys through these processes, and we're going to get through this all together. As far as I can tell, though, everything should be ready and well tested to proceed. and be able to save you guys some time. Onto the help desk. So here's what we got. Here's the URL that you're going to use to be able to access any ticketing that you need to do on the CHC site again. And I forgot to mention the same thing is true for the Laserfiche, that for now at least is going to be only on site at CHCC or anything connected to CHCC. So if you're CGC and you're connected to our network, you'll be able to connect. If you're Tinia and Rora, we've already tested all of these things and they're working. BEH, WIC, everywhere. You can, even if you're not physically, as long as you're on our network, you'll be able to connect. One of the nice things about this ticketing system, and again, we're talking about ease of use, you should be able to just send an email to this. If you're in Hawaii and you needed help with something, but you're not able to get a hold of anybody in the IT, you can send an email to helpdesk@chcc.gov.mp, and it will auto-generate a ticket over here, and then we can look into your issue from this side. So this is kind of a loophole. So you're still able to submit a ticket to the system even though you may not physically be on the site. The one for the maintenance, I apologize. The one for the maintenance could, it's doing that to me. Huh? The one for the maintenance could change. I'm really not too sure what they're, okay, it's doing some crazy stuff to me now. I'm not too sure what their system is going to be doing, but once I have more information on that, then we'll be able to proceed. For now, just know that at least with this one, you'll still be able to use your computer account. I'm not sure how the maintenance one's going to be. We'll cover that at a later date whenever we have more info on that. We really went over a lot of this already, what the help desk system is covering. One of the nice things, again, if you are at ER, OBEC side, you'll just be able to use that standard login. My recommendation is just go ahead and keep it open in the browser on all of the computers that you've got. And that way, if there's ever an issue, just switch over to that tab and submit the ticket. And remember, again, from once you've received this training from this date forward, we're asking that that be your first line of communication. And especially right now through this COVID-19 situation, we are incredibly short-staffed and much more different types of requests coming in. So this is the best way that we can assure that you'll have your ticket documented. You can retrieve your ticket number if you need to talk to any of us and say, okay, this is my ticket number. Can you please look it up? I had this request. More than likely, it won't come to that. We have people constantly checking the ticketing system. We're asking you guys to have faith that we are checking these things. It's not really necessary that you say, okay, let me submit this ticket. Now I'm going to get on the phone to make sure they get that ticket. That's not important. You don't need to do that. Also, you do not need to make the phone call, and because more than likely, if you make the phone call, the tech is going to ask that you please submit a ticket. We're not trying to give anyone a hard time with the submission of the ticket. It's just that this is important that we're tracking this information, and it's been requested of us from outside sources that we get this type of a system implemented. So that's why there's such a push to make sure that this happens. Okay, so here's the basic user view. It cannot get much easier than this. The summary is basically like the subject of your email. The description is similar to the body of the text of your email. And then we have some additional fields that'll be available. So that way you'll be able to pick whatever the category may be, what your department is. Once you submit, it's going to generate a ticket, plus you'll be able to have a running history of all the tickets that you submitted in the past. This is going to be similar to a knowledge base as well, because what's going to happen is it's going to keep a record of every ticket that you submit. So if you in June had an issue with your UPS, and then July you have that same issue, you could always reflect back on your previous ticket and say, what is it that they did that they corrected this? You look into the issue, it says that the power was off and they needed to hold down the button for a couple seconds before the UPS came on. If that's an issue, you could always try that solution yourself, and then if it works, then there was no need to submit the ticket because you were able to fix that on your own. And it saves you so much time to be able to do that, and it empowers you with the ability to be able to keep moving without having to wait for someone. That doesn't mean that we don't want to help you. We always do. It's just, we know that you guys really want to keep moving without being held up. Here for the attachments, this can be a multi-purpose tool. So if you're using a spreadsheet and you're having some issues with the spreadsheet, you could submit that. You can put in the help that you're requesting, and then we'll be able to work with it on our end. If it's converting from, say, PDF to Word and you just don't have the software, we could help with something like that, and then we could email it back to you. If the issue is something physically happening in your area, if there's some type of flooding, or just as an example, you could take a picture of that, you could attach it so that way we have an idea of what it is that we're walking into. This can be a multi-purpose thing. The maintenance, again, it's under construction. We'll let you know once we have more on this one. These are the resources. So what I'll do is I'll add a quick little intro on these. All of these documentations are available. We have documents like small tutorials. We also have this PowerPoint presentation is available, and that's going to be on an upcoming system. The this one here, the office.chcc.health. If you're comfortable with trying, you can log in. They're all shown in the common documents in the IT how-to guides, and I will show you how to log into that right now, just so that you can see. So for this one, once you type in office.chcc.health, for now, this is only available on site at the hospital. And keep in mind, this is an early preview. This is not live yet, but it'll help me out a lot if each and every one of you were to log in, because then I can start actually sorting out your departments. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in my username for my hospital computer, and I'm going to put in the password for the hospital computer. And again, this is the same that you're going to use to log into all of these systems. Okay? Now, once you log in, you'll notice at the bottom we have a launch pad of all of the different applications here. Some of these are just added, some of these are going to be removed, but for the most part, this is everything that we have. The meeting room system, if you're not aware, you can see if the meeting room is booked. I'll just do a real quick jump into this one because I know some people want to know what's happening with these meeting rooms. So I believe we all right now know what's happening with CHCC's main, conference room 2 and conference room 3, they're booked. More than likely, that's indefinitely. We're not sure when this is going to change. The HIT conference room, if you wanted to look in here, you can check. You can check what your date is. For example, I have one of these trainings with MCHB today. So this is just a place where you can go to check and see how your meetings are. And you cannot schedule a meeting from here, unfortunately. That's only available to the admins in the area, and that's so that we can keep it organized. We thank you for understanding that. Let me go back here. Did I lose my tab? No. Okay, so here's the inventory system. If you didn't take down the URL earlier, you can always just click this one, but you still have to remember this one, and you have to remember to use your computer login to get in. Some of the other ones that we have here, if you are unaware, is our on-site video. That's probably one of the locations I'm going to put this training. Our LMS system, that's the one for nurse training, and hopefully soon HR will be using this for some of the other trainings that we'll be doing for the organization. This one for the Laserfiche Forms, this is really only for people that are signature authorities. Again, for PRs, POs, contracts, things like that, you're going to have your own custom URL. You cannot share with anyone else outside of your department because it's specific to your own, and you'll be given an email that has that information, and we'll get you set up with that. The help desk system, all of these things are going to be available from here. And then where you'll go is the documents, and this will show you your documents that are here. You're going to see a basic set of documents. These are all going to be generic, sort of just let you see and feel how the system works. In the future, we'll be setting up some other things, but again, this is early preview. But this common documents section is going to be something that's available to everyone in the organization. Here we have the telephone directory, IT procurement guidelines, but in the how-to guides here, I have this PowerPoint presentation that you're looking at now. And there's these small tutorials. This one here is for the asset management system, which I'll need to work with whoever your administrator is separately on the side. The help desk manual. These ones are going to be specific for somebody who's a signature authority. So again, this is not really important for everyone, but there are a few who may find some use of this. We'll take a look at the help desk manual so you can get an idea of how the system is going to work and look. Work and look. I just said look. It's these long hours. Huh? Okay, so here's generally how it's gonna function. So it shows you again first name, not last name, or in the case of ER, again you'd put ER, what you log in as. You enter this information in, and you can track your tickets. You can see when you submit it. But what's important is this ticket number. So when you call somebody in our office, which we know you're going to call sometimes, please have your ticket number ready. And if something's taking a long time for whatever reason, again, we're definitely going to try to make sure that that never happens. But if it does, just call us about the ticket number, or if you need to give a call and just follow up on something. And it's something that's a ticket that was closed, and you're still having the same problem. Just give us a call back and say, hey, this ticket number, it says that it's resolved, but we're still having the same issue. And then what we can do is we'll have that ticket reopened, and we'll continue to try to figure out exactly what the issue may be. So this can only prove to help us in many areas, not just the IT, but the organization as a whole. Let me show another system. So here's the asset management system. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how a basic user is going to log in. So again, for the most part, this is going to be first name, last name. Mine is tied into an administrator account, so I don't want to confuse anyone with that. You'll log in as your first name, last name. For me would be like Jovianda Almada, and then password for my computer. And when I log in, this is all I'm going to see, and this is all I'm going to have access to, is just seeing what assets I've been assigned, and that's really all. Okay, and here's the ticketing system, same thing. Now again, if I log in as myself, it's going to send me to the administrator page, so I'm going to use this temp user account. And once I log in, there's going to be the standard launch screen. It's got some instructions here. You can see all the contact information on the side. If any of this is changed or needs updating, just let us know. You can come here to the ticket. These priorities, there's going to be policies that are put out once my boss is done updating those, which will explain what these different tiers mean. I know everyone wants to say that their issue is high, but if you only have 2 Epson ribbons available on your shelf and you want to be sure to have a third because you know you're going to print a lot over the weekend, you don't want to put high. High is going to be strictly reserved for if there could be loss of life. And I don't believe that's going to be the case if there's no printer ribbon. Medium could be you cannot perform your job. This is basically the default. Working in a hospital, critical, we are the definition of critical. So everything is pretty much defaulting to medium. Low would be reserved for things that are just minor on your list. Say there is a document that you'd like us to look at, but it's not an emergency priority. It's just something you'd like us to look at. You can set that to low and then we can work with you. The summary could be just something simple. If it was that document, you could say, would like to convert to PDF, and then your description here. Your category, this has been filled out with a lot of itemized listings here. This was not me. I don't know who updated all of these, but just try to find it to be something as basic as you can think of. So if you're really not sure, you can always pick miscellaneous. We can recategorize this from our end. It's not a huge concern. You pick your department, and then, like I say, if you have an attachment, and once you submit, it's going to generate that ticket number for you, and you'll be able to view your ticket statuses here. And again, you could always send an email to the address that I showed you earlier, the help desk at chcc.gov.mp. And for the Laserfiche, once you followed that URL that you've been given, I'm using CGC as an example here. This is CGC's link specifically, so nobody else can use this, because if you don't need Reina to sign your document, then you don't want to submit it. You'll just pick your area, business unit, the requester. For some of this information, if you know it, please fill it in. If you don't know it, somebody along the way will fill it in, whether it's finance, MSO, someone will help you fill in some of those areas. But these areas have already been identified in advance, so we're trying to help you here to get everything sent out. But a lot of this information is mandatory. You're going to need this. If your request happens to be something that falls under IT, facilities, training, public outreach, we're going to need you to put that here, because you are going to need to show that it's already been reviewed by the department and they've signed off and said it meets the criteria that we need it to meet. You'll put your itemized listing here, you add next item, everything's going to fall under here. It'll automatically calculate for you. You can put in your price quotations here, and then you'll attach those here. Any supporting documents you can put, and you can put multiple documents. So it doesn't necessarily need to be just one. You can put multiples here. This is going to tell it where to route for fund certification, whether it's local or federal. If it's federal, we're going to need the grant expiration date that's assigned with that. Any additional information, I recommend you put here. All of these processes are going to keep an audit trail of everything. So anytime that you get an opportunity to leave a comment, I recommend to do so. So that way you can cover your area and know that, hey, I put all of the information that I knew to be truthful and pertaining to this, and anything else was simply a mistake. If there's any kinds of issues, that way, if the process is audited, then they can look back and say, okay, we have a very detailed track of information at each step. So this was really just an accident. They forgot to attach a document or maybe accidentally, instead of putting $500, they put $5,000. Just small mistakes can happen. It's just human error. But that way, if you're filling it out, then we can be sure to capture everything. And really, that's all. Hopefully, this tutorial is going to be helpful for you. If it's helpful, then I'll maybe even do more in the future. But for right now, there's an essential need for it. I know Soroto's going to be excited about it because he's been asking me to do this. If you have any questions, please contact me. I would be glad to help you. And let me see. My email address, I'll type it up. Well, you know what? I'll type it here so that you can see it. It's asking for it. Okay. Ovian.armada@chcc.gov.np. You can email me here, and I will be glad to help you. And that concludes our tutorial. Thank you very much for your time, and have a great day, and everybody stay safe, huh? Thanks.